And we're live.
Woo! Hello, hello, hello! Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and discontinued Forge World Dreadnoughts to that 6+++ show. I am your host, Tom. We've got a very exciting episode lined up for you because we're going to be looking forward to 10th and kicking off an Index League, ladies and gentlemen. It's a big deal. We love playing each other, don't we, guys? We all want to play each other more often. That's one thing all the team are always saying. We wish we could all play each other more. So we'll be setting that up a bit later on in the show. But we're not going to get to that just yet because I want to give various players who might be participating time to make their way to the chat. The ones that have remembered they're in a league, that is. And what we're going to do first is do a bit of a roundup. Then we will talk about the recent announcements re Forge World. And then I'm going to very briefly recap the RTT in St Albans that I was at this weekend. Then we'll do the draft for our league, which we'll talk through when we get to that. Very exciting. Then we'll do a little bit of Teams event chatter for the actual last event of night for us, the very end. And then some listener questions. So it's quite the shopping list. But we'll be quick, we'll be snappy, we'll be on our feet. So, hobby roundup. Who have I actually got here? Well, I've got to start where I always start with my dear leader, Chris. How are you, Chris?
I am well. How are you?
That's the voice of power. That's right, you do. I could pull the plug on this any moment.
Right this moment.
Chris, are you doing any hobbying? And if so, what?
I have been doing a wide variety of hobbying.
Yeah, you actually have, to be fair.
I have. So, in the last week, I built a fire prism / night spinner for my Eldari. I have built the models in my Star Wars Shatterpoint box because I fancied something a bit different.
Nice.
I've also started working on the Tyranids.
Yes.
So I've had this box for quite a while now, of just lots of stuff.
Yeah.
Which
Do you want to
Tom
tell? Do you want to tell the listeners how you were learning what Tyranid models you had?
Well, I was just like, I've had this box for a few months, and I was like, I should probably look through it. So I was like, just picking up random models and sending photos of them, and being like, guys, what's this?
Literally, just Chris's hand, like, what is this? And it's like
with a model as well.
like a neurothrope or something. Yeah. Well, it's your scything talent, Chris.
Yeah, I was saying the first question was quite reasonable because you put a Mucilid Spore, which I mean, even players who play Nids probably don't know it because it's been.
To be
shipped
fair,
for so long.
that I actually didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
I assumed it was
So-
unassembled. It looked
I think-
unfinished.
Davey and I were straight in there with our keen to show off our Tyranid knowledge.
Yeah.
Then you put another picture in the chat, which was a Neurothrope.
Yeah.
What's this?
It's like a staple unit of the last
They
2
look like
years.
a zone trope. So
That's the point of it.
it wasn't. I was like, because Tom was like, right, zone tropes. Let's see how many I've got. Oh, I've got 6. And I went downstairs. I was like, wait a minute. 2 of these have got like extra fin things going on there. What is this about?
They used to
bigger
be, back
noses.
in the day, there used to be sergeants for the Zone Thrope squad.
Did they really?
So
Yes, they
They
did,
just
they
used to be a
did.
unit upgrade. They never were their standalone HQ choice. A
But
little bit of
I'm actually,
5th, 6th edition Tyrannid trivia for you there,
thanks
for our older listeners.
But I have finished painting 10 geniuses, and I found this like tutorial on YouTube of like a scheme, which was actually really nice. So I kind of followed that, but I did some dry brushing instead because
It's very pretty.
Stuff. And actually,
very nice.
really happy with how it's turned
It's
out.
got kind of icy blues in there, doesn't it?
Well, I can't not have blue, but
Yeah,
it's,
you love blue. You bloody
yeah.
love you. Blue is your green.
Exactly, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like kind of this earthy brown, and then it's got these blue parts on like the carapace. The only thing is, I've just started painting the zone tropes, and I just did some airbrush work on them today. And I was like, actually, this looks really nice, and the dry brushing is just gonna scratch it up. So now there's part of me which is like, maybe I just do this recipe only through airbrush, and I don't do any dry brushing. In which case, I did waste 2 evenings on those Gene Stealers.
Yes.
Which is sad, but at the same time, maybe Gene Stealers would be crap, or I
Maybe.
do also have a giant box of like just all of the Gribblies, so I do have a lot more Gene Stealers to repaint, and it doesn't take long at all. The only issue is my ineptitude with a airbrush, because there is
Yes.
a session that goes by where I don't end up fighting it in some shape or form, so we're working on that. But it might
It's
be
a
my
troubled
airbrush,
relationship, I think, the airbrush.
and I might get there eventually and like love the airbrush. But yeah, no, it's cool, and it's just nice to have that as an option, kind of as we move into 10th.
Yeah, definitely. No, they look really cool. Your excitement for them has been very obvious. So, yeah, I look forward to seeing more of them done. I guess you'll have new toys for them soon. Are you getting one of the boxes?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, good man. Excellent.
It's got to be done. I know these models look so so high quality based off those data sheets.
Oh, they just look amazing. They
Yeah.
look great fun. Yeah, if you want to hear what Ed and I think of the Tyranid data sheets, you can go and we did a live preview yesterday.
I watched it last
It's
night.
online now. The Neuro Gaunts get absolutely panned, but in the main, I think we're pretty happy with everything else. We have a good time with it. So do go and listen to that.
If anything, the models are sick.
They all look brilliant.
Yeah,
Like just like last time, like Indomitus looks so good. This looks so good. Like these boxes set a new standard every time they come out, so you can't complain about that really. And the value is undeniable. I'm also joined tonight by Lewis. How are you doing, Lewis?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well, thank you, Tom.
It is nice to see you.
Yes.
Last time I saw you was at your wonderful Saffron Slam.
Yes.
Thank you
that
very
was a
much for that.
successful event. No,
It was a
no,
really
glad,
good time. Yeah, really
Glad you
enjoyed it.
enjoyed it, mate. Yeah, glad you had a good time. I think everyone did actually, to be fair.
Oh, it was a
really,
cracking
really,
event.
Really, really
Yeah.
positive.
Super fun. I've just been eyeing up the one for whenever the 10th is out. I think I was messaging you. I think it's August. Yeah,
12th
August.
and 13th of
I
August.
think I'm gonna try and get myself to that because that'd be really fun.
Down to 4 or 5 tickets left, I think.
Ooh,
But,
better hurry, everybody.
Hurry, quick, get him now before Tom finishes this call, and then he can't come.
Oh shit! Oh, that'd be sad.
That's actually
Don't
true.
do that. Don't embargo me,
Save him
chat. No. Oh, that'd be a really sad way for that conversation to go. And Lewis, have you been doing any hobbying?
I have, and not
What have you
only
been
that
doing?
is I have, with my partner Patrick, won my first piece of 6++ silverware.
Oh,
With a second place finish at the Norwich doubles, the East Anglian Grand Tournament doubles.
that's
last
extremely
weekend.
exciting. And so, what did you guys run?
We ran a combination of Imperial Fists and Drukari,
Oh, the
1,000
dream.
points each.
Top two armies in the
Um,
current meta.
Yeah,
top two
absolutely.
armies in the
Both
current meta.
heavyweights. Yeah.
Went undefeated, which was really, really good. But
I guess they
we
cover
lost
each
out
other's
to
weaknesses pretty well.
Well, that's what we thought, actually, to be fair. And
Mm.
the one thing Imperial Fists are good at is standing on objectives and shooting stuff.
Yeah.
Very good at doing that. They've got lots of things that they can boost their saves if they're on objectives and
Yeah,
make it very
yeah.
difficult for them to be shifted. But one thing they can't really do is score any secondary points. Drukari, on the other hand, very, very good.
Go and die and get
getting
your points,
across
right?
the board, dying slowly enough that we score behind enemy lines and retrieve battlefield data and all that sort
Yeah,
of stuff. So,
beautiful.
I think we finished 8 points behind the Sons of War team over the course of the games. So
Hey, very good.
we were very, very close to winning it. But
That's amazing.
Yeah, very happy with that. Really,
Yeah.
I think Patrick, I think learnt a lot about Drukari as well. I mean, I'm no Drukari expert at all, but we spent a lot of time chatting about his list and what sort of weaknesses it had as a 2,000 point list.
Yeah.
And therefore, what could the Imperial Fists offset?
Yeah.
And we obviously did come down to the argument that actually the one thing Imperial Fist can do is be resilient. And then I think actually during the event he learnt a lot about positioning his Drukari and lining everything up and staging and all that sort of stuff, which again
Good old
I'm no
staging.
expert on, but I've had it done to me enough that I can,
I can't see it, and now it's hitting me in the eye. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. That's the one. That's the
We
dream.
did watch his succubus rip Be'lakor apart, which was quite funny.
You'd love to see it.
Just did 10 mortal wounds.
Oh.
on like 5 6
Oh,
to hit. I was
so
like, Patrick,
good.
No.
Yeah, so good, so good. Now that sounds awesome, man. I've never tried doubles, and I think the sort of the design nonsense that it opens up does appeal to me. That kind of
100%,
plotting and scheming with your doubles partner to cook up something really weird and horrible that actually synergizes really well. That's something I'd definitely like to try.
We've got a good
It's up
track
there.
record because the two Jamies won an event. Jamie,
Yeah.
Clifford, and myself have won an event, and now Lewis has won an event.
Yeah, there you go. Doubles is the way.
That's the way forward.
Maybe we should establish ourselves as the premier doubles team in the
Yeah.
Have these all been casual doubles events? Is that the?
How dare you? Lewis'
Yeah.
event was nothing. It was
I
anything
don't
but
think there's ever a non-casual doubles event, is there? Is it? I've not seen it at like maybe
Well,
I don't know.
The Norwich
No,
one
our
had.
final was pretty sweaty when Jamie and I played.
Yeah, that was an intense game. I mean, the Norwich one was all on UKTC style.
Oh, okay.
boards,
No, that's
so-
cool. Yeah.
Okay, we make an argument whether doubles is a competitive format or not, but the 3 teams that went 3-0 were all, well, obviously myself included in that, really, if I'm being blown my own trumpet, but very good
Yeah,
teams.
yeah.
Both the Sons of War teams from Cambridge are really excellent
Yeah,
players.
of course. Yeah.
Um,
I bet it will grow as all things are growing these days. I'm sure it will
It's a really,
become
really
more,
fun
become
way
more
of playing
again,
the
like teams, it's fun to play with your mate, isn't it? And
Yeah.
have that sort of camaraderie across the game. Wonderful. Okay, well, I'm also joined by Ed. How are you?
Boo. No.
Boo is.
Are you excited to be here, Ed? What have you been up to?
Yeah, I've actually been fairly busy. Obviously, we were streaming.
I was going to
last
say,
night.
yeah, it's you and me every night at the moment. That's the way this is going.
So I may have committed to a lot of streaming in the future.
Yeah.
Been penciling in some rough dates and who's going to be talking through the data sheets with me if they were to theoretically come out at some point in the future. I have been writing a rules pack. I have been looking at how to pair groups, and I don't want to throw any shade, but someone keeps telling me there's different numbers of players and groups and making my life a nightmare. I can change the goddamn table. I don't complain about it up until now. I've bottled it down.
Yeah, sort of save it.
I've held it down, and now I'm going to rant.
You get used to it, Ed. Once you realise it's all actually going really well, you let him do what he needs.
Yeah, no. My coup to replace him with Lee last week obviously failed because he's still here.
Yeah,
you know
if you run a coup with Lee, that's ending with a coup with Lee getting rid of you, not far down the line, right?
Maybe. But I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
Very nice.
May be aiming to do a different army.
Yeah, you might.
Might be. I don't know if I'm going to get them in the draft. Who knows? Genuinely, not me, but we'll see. So I might have a couple of night spinners and a fire prism just behind my camera there. But you just getting ready for things. Just in case they're good. Someone mentioned that maybe those things look like they might be good from the rules that we've seen a couple of weeks ago to me, and I was like, it's a good shout.
I think, given that it looks like they've shat the bed on indirect, I think Night Spinners would expect to be good in such an environment, right? Lee Church says day one Eldari FAQ. Well, we can all hope. We can all hope. I think some changes are going to be likely, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know because I'm not that connected, but everyone that I've talked to who plays the game a lot, who has also had the same thoughts as me, thinks that maybe Devastating Wounds and Reroll Wounds is not a good combination.
Yeah.
So I'm personally hoping for Devastating Wounds to go in the bin and to become does an additional mortal wound on an unmodified 6.
No, the Valiant's harpoon relies on things.
Oh no, let's not kick Lewis again.
It would be a casualty of war, and I'm sorry, but you do not want
Leave my big stuff alone.
You do not want the heat that is coming.
Play with my sword.
Especially from a faction that can turn wounds to 6s pretty easily and consistently.
We'll see how that all goes.
Tell you what, the Valiant, if that Flamer is good, if they've still got a 3d6, damage 2, strength 7, AP 2 Flamer, doing that in someone's movement phase.
Overwatch say what?
Good luck charging me. That's all I can say.
Being unable to hide from it.
It's just like you're just like something. To be fair, I always kind of used to have this with knights when I play elves. Anyway, you're like, well, something is going to die in order to charge it every time anyway. So you just have to have something ready, and it's the same now. So something's going to have to die to get near it. Oh dear.
Yeah.
I can Overwatch in the movement phase, and then I can Overwatch in the charge phase.
No.
Yes, you can.
It's once per turn.
Is it? Oh, thank goodness for that.
The strat twice.
Yeah.
But that's fine because you just pick what you want to charbroil, and we go from there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, okay, we're going to launch into a couple of our little talking points before we do the league drop. I want to shout out some people first because everyone's chatting away in the chat and it's very lovely. So Lee Church would put a sad face when I suggested that he would launch a coup within a coup. Sorry, Lee, I just think you're a cunning strategist. Don't take it as an insult. I don't mean it negatively. I don't think you'd put up with Ed in charge for very long.
I was putting forwards Lee to be in charge.
Oh, okay. Well, then you're fine. If you're setting yourself up as the lieutenant, then you're golden. You'll be just fine.
I'm here to Grima Wormtongue this shit.
Yeah. That's the role you want, man. That's the good job. Let's say, I've been doing the Grima Wormtongue on this show for a while, and it's been great. I have no responsibility. You just get to whisper your horrible nothings in dark corridors. It's great. Hello to Elo Woozle, who was helping us sort our screens out. Much appreciated. And then Craig Dickman, 1989, said, thanks for the entertainment tonight, fellas. I'm currently halfway through building a Plague Burst Crawler.
Great, man.
It is a magnificent tank. I love the Plague Burst Crawler. I think it was probably the first tank I got when I got back into 8th, and it is awesome. So I hope you enjoy that. They're also really fun to paint because they just catch, all those edges and surfaces catch really, really well. So I hope you enjoy that.
He must not have been on the Death Guard Facebook.
Don't go on Death Guard Reddit. Don't go on Death Guard Reddit. Yeah, don't. Let's not put him off his lovely Plague Burst Crawler. Let him enjoy his hobby. unlike a significant number of Death Card players right now. And then, we also had a lovely little shout out from Swissley who said, "Would love to be with you guys tonight, but I'm at a banging Turkish karaoke."
He's there for the belly dances, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt
He
at
is
all.
one of the belly dancers.
And if he
That's
gets
an image.
if he gets something silly in the draft, that's on him. Okay, great. Right, first talking point of the day. We got a little announcement recently to the tune of a lot of different units, especially Horus Heresy themed ones, are going to be not making it into the current edition of 40k. So obviously this prompted some discussion in our chat at the time, which I wouldn't say it was heated, but it wasn't not heated. It certainly it was passionate, wasn't it? I think passionate conversation was being had. So I thought I would invite you, Lewis, to talk through your opinions on this. Obviously, you as people on our socials will know, you are the proud owner of a great big Forge World tank, and you've been taking it out and having some joy with it lately. That is only 2 months old. So I figured
£300 on.
let's talk through the ins and outs of this a little bit, and then if you in the chat want to chip in with your thoughts on this particular one, please do. We've had a vote on the socials already, but I'm very interested to know what people think of this. After you, Lewis.
So for anyone that doesn't know, Games Workshop have announced that basically all of Forge World models, except some of the alien ones and the Titans, are going the way of Legends. So that includes a lot of the Chaos vehicles, a lot of the Demon engines, a lot of the Horus Heresy tanks that have carried over into 40k previously, a lot of the Dreadnoughts that I know a lot of Space Marine players use. Their main argument appears to be that the game is too hard to balance with these models in it, and therefore that they want to take them out so that it's easier to balance the game, and that the Space Marine and Chaos Space Marine army lists or army rosters are too large and need cutting down. Now, obviously, if you are an owner of one of those models, which actually realistically when you look at Games Workshop's price range and pricing system, they tend to be the most pricey models that you can buy.
They are.
Typically resin models take a lot of care to build, a lot of care to look after, and they're quite significant hobby investments when compared with the plastic minis that they come out from the main Games Workshop store. Now, as we all know, units going to Legends effectively means they are unplayable. Because they don't receive any rules updates or rule support balance updates or anything like that, points changes. So I understand they intend to release some sort of basic data sheets for them if you want to use them in 10th edition, but that's kind of going to be it, and we can only assume after that they're going the way of all the previous Legends units, which is going the way of the Dodo, and that we're not going to see them again. And I guess eventually they'll stop selling them online and get rid of them, unless they intend to keep using them in the Heresy game. Especially for some of the newer Dreadnoughts and things that people have bought because Games Workshop made them in plastic. Stopped selling them in resin, made them in plastic, and obviously loads of 40k players bought them. Now, as Tom might have alluded to, discussions got relatively warm when we were talking about it. And
I think we fell down on opposite sides of this thought process. I'd have to say it definitely at my end there was no anger or anything. It was just like
mine was rage. Mine was pure rage.
I know. I got that. I got that. But I'm not the one with the £300 tank, so I guess we had different skin in that game. After you. Yeah.
So. Realistically, my main concern is that I have an opinion that is based on me as a player, but I don't think I'm the only person in this position. That there's a chunk of Games Workshop's player base in this hobby that play 40k using competitive rules, because it feels like the most balanced way to play the game. So if I'm going to pick up a game, I am taking the most up-to-date rules. And I'll use the most up-to-date points, I'll use the balance changes, and that makes sure that if I'm going into just a random game in any kind of given week, it will be relatively balanced and we can just have a good game, even if I don't know the individual. And actually, I think there's a group of hobbyists as well who really their only real gaming time they get is at events, because they can agree with their families and friends and they say, actually, I'm going to take a weekend away, other half's going to take the kids, and then I'll look after the kids the following week, and we're going to go to this event. I can get 5-6 games of 40k in over the weekend, and then I can go back to a very busy family work life in and around that. Which is, obviously, I have a lot of hobby time in terms of what I do for the business, but for me, that's the only time I really get to play is at events or in practice of events. So I am not a player that takes units and armies that I want to go and win events with. That's not really what I'm interested in. As I say, it's the only chance I get to play the game. I really love playing the game, so I want to use models that I really, really love. And I think that's probably the majority of people that have those big fancy units. They probably aren't using those really impressive models to go and win games. The guy taking Warhound Titans to 2K tournaments, like, he's not there to win. He's there because he loves his big models and he wants to use it, and he doesn't get much time to play.
Shout out to Zach Becker, organizer of the UKTC, who ran 9 games with a Warhound Titan at Warhammer Fair. And I think he won one as well.
I think it is possible to win a game with them if you just kill everything. So I think those players are probably players that you see invest a lot of love into the individual models. They are expensive models, so you just have to put a lot of time into putting them together. And as a result, those players to then lose out on being able to use them for two, in my opinion, arguments that I don't agree with, I think is a really, really disappointing move from Games Workshop. I think overall it's damaging to the hobby, it's damaging to the way we play the game, and I don't think it solves any of the problems that they think they're trying to solve by doing this. In regards to the balance argument, as Stu Black, who runs 40k, said in a couple of these interviews he did, I think he did one with Tabletop Tactics, he was saying there was over 2,000 data sheets they were having to balance.
Yeah.
And I'm not being funny, a couple of extra Dreadnoughts and a couple of extra Baneblade variants. If you can't balance a few Dreadnoughts and a few Baneblade variants by that point, because that's effectively what the Falchion is a Baneblade with a big gun on it. If you can't balance that by that point, realistically, is taking a couple of Forge World units out going to make a fundamental difference? I doubt it, really. They're already putting Titans in the game. So, again, they're putting big stuff in the game. They're letting some of the alien Titans, the Hierophant and the Squiggus and things like that, that's all going into the game. Okay, so if you can feel like you can balance those, but you can't balance a couple of Dreadnought variants, that to me just is an invalid argument, in my opinion. And then I think similar again with their argument about the bloat on the army lists. I think there was an image going around of the Chaos Space Marine unit roster, and it's now half the size of what it used to be. And again, they've probably cut 10-15 data sheets out of the Space Marine roster. But if you look at the Space Marine roster, we've still got 25 different types of characters. There's 4 sets of land speeders. You've got firstborn units that have been completely supplanted by Primaris units. So if they actually cared about bloat and they actually cared about cutting unit roster down, then they would have done it. They wouldn't have just arbitrarily cut out some random unique Forge World models, which are actually really cool, different things to have. So again, I'm not sure I agree with that argument. But actually, fundamentally, the thing that really annoys me is the lack of communication from Games Workshop on this. They've announced this 2 weeks before the start of 10th edition, when people have already gone and bought these models. Already people have got excited about running the models. Like, the whole reason I bought this Falchion was that I wanted to run an Imperial Fists army, and 10th edition was coming. I was like, new edition, new army. I'll be ready for 10th. I'll have this really cool model. I've always wanted it. But personally, I've never had the courage to take them on the model of that scale. And I built up the courage to do it. And it feels weird given I do commission painting, but I've never had the courage to actually go and buy that model and do it. And I stood there in Forge World, 20 minutes chatting with the Games Workshop guy there, saying how excited I was to take it to Gibraltar and how excited I was to use it in these events. And we know that Games Workshop design these new editions of the game 2 years in advance. So that company knew 2 years ago that they were going to get rid of this stuff. And they stood there whilst I was buying it and joked with me about how great it was going to be to see these big tanks in the new edition of the game. So fundamentally, that lack of communication, it feels deceitful, it feels dishonest, and actually it just is pointless. I can't see a good argument for it.
Okay.
That's my rant. My rant is over.
I get it, and I think there's certain things there, especially I think range change, and I mean we've just had this with Tyranids, right, where we were aggressively sold Tyranids with a very jacked up set of rules for about 2 years, and now the whole range is being updated, and we know they pull stuff like this, and we know those kind of things happen. I'm sorry, I'm feeding back from someone. Someone just want to double check that. And I think you're well within your rights to be a little bit aggrieved about that. I think the balanced one is an interesting thing. I mean, there have been trouble units out of Forge World the whole time I've played the game. Certainly as a new player in 8th, I was very bemused when, having just got my nice shiny plastic Death Guard army together, I went to my first event and every single person I played was running a vehicle or a tank or a dreadnought I'd never seen before in my life with a name that wasn't from any of the stuff I'd looked at, and smashed me in with it. And I don't think that's a nice experience for new players. I don't think new players feel good when hundreds of pounds of additional spending on resin is mooted as a sort of a staple of keeping up in competitive play, though I appreciate this is at a different end of the scale from what you're talking about. I don't think that's something that you want. I don't think armies being propped up by a Volkite Contemptor or a Decimator or a Leviathan or something that just interacts with rules written by, let's face it, different groups of people.
Well, I think actually Games Workshop do write the rules.
They do
Forge
now.
don't write the rules
Yeah,
anymore.
they do. They do. They took that.
Yeah, maybe in the past.
They took that on in
yeah.
ninth, and they've done better.
Yeah.
It was more of a problem in eighth. In ninth, mostly what they did was simply make them all just not especially effective.
Which personally, I haven't got.
Which worked fine. Yeah, I think that worked
sort of
fine,
model.
right?
I'm not doing it for competitive.
But you still had a couple of breakout stars with the Volkite Contemptor, and there were still a couple of things that got through.
But
Ed,
then they're supplementing like chaos. Sorry, they're supplementing like the Death Guard army and things like that, which don't really have any long range shooting, or that's what they were being used for. And actually, that's not the fault of the Volkite Contemptor. That's the fault of the fact they can't write Death Guard properly.
For sure.
I was just going to say, like the obvious solution to me is if you feel like you don't have to balance them, write the rules as you would for normal and give them a 15% point markup. Effectively, they're out the game, and then you get some nut job like Lewis who's like, big model, me want, have, he can still do his thing and win more games than he should with it, and feel really good about it and have a great hobby time. But you've not got. I mean, I briefly looked at an Art of War video, and one of the guys said he had like 8 Contemptors. That's a lot of money spent on resin that's never going to get used again, which is a real shame. Because you could make the argument, but you just play it in a casual game, but like, I don't play casual games.
No, you don't. You
no. I think that's the experience that a lot of people have who play a lot of events. It's just like the game is, even though you play for fun, you're playing competitive lists at all points.
Yeah. I think a lot of people do end up in that position. So yeah, it's an interesting. I do one. I don't know where it fits in. There is one. I know that Games Workshop have had some issues on the supply side with warehouses and stuff, and with their own site, where I know some stuff that they were trying to do and build didn't work out the way they thought it was going to, and obviously we've seen there's been a lot of issues for them on the supply side over the last year or two, and I do wonder if maybe this interlinks with that to some extent. I don't know. I'm not in a position to know.
I mean, overall, if they want to cut that sort of stuff out of the game, and actually they want to make a more streamlined experience, and they want to cut down on the Space Marine bloat, then fundamentally I can understand that. I don't have a problem with it.
A roadmap might have been kinder, though, right?
Yeah, what I don't appreciate is having invested all that money only a very recent amount of time ago, and not to have been told, oh, by the way, we're actually in 2 months' time, we're probably going to cut some of this stuff out of the competitive game. So I could make, as a consumer, I could make an informed purchase choice about whether I still wanted to buy the model because I really loved it and I've always wanted it, or because actually I won't buy it and I'll spend that money somewhere else, because it's money that's going on the hobby, so it would be spent somewhere at Games Workshop. It just
of course.
it wouldn't have necessarily been spent on that. I'd have gone for the Astreus or something like that. That is going to carry over. So it's the lack of communication, and if they'd have turned around today and said, actually, instead of their announcement, they say this is going to be the last edition that we have Forge World in the game. I'd probably still be a little bit miffed, but actually I can understand. Okay, I've probably got 3 or 4 years.
You've got multiple years to get yourself in order,
and then that's it. Everyone can make those informed decisions at that point, and it's just the dropping it on you at the very last minute. And as I said just before we started this call, but it's taking the wind out of my sails for 10th edition. I was really excited for it, and now I'm just a bit. And it sounds pathetic because it's all just on one tank, but I'd invested a lot of personal time in that. Written a whole story for her.
You've travelled the world with that tank.
She's already travelled halfway across the world to go to events. So now I can't, and she's just going to sit on the shelf, and it's like.
Well, we will make sure that Matilda gets at least one exhibition game at some point.
What I do need, actually, if there's anyone in the chat that has an Astreus that can give me the dimensions of it, I'd be really appreciated, because I can't find the dimensions online anywhere. But if I can find, if they're anywhere close to the Falchion, you might find there's a Matilda pattern that Astreus coming.
Okay,
because
that would
fundamentally,
work.
the Astreus has a big gun on top and then loads of las cannons, which is all the Falchion has. So that might be my saving grace, if I can find that it's actually very similar size to the Astreus. The Astreus is actually a little bit bigger than a Baneblade, from what I can tell from photos.
Jack Tight says he'll send it to you later.
Oh, good man. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you. Great. Okay. Well, yeah. As I say, I do feel for you. I think cutting down some rules and minimising opportunities for things to go wrong is a difficult process for them, and there will be casualties in doing that at all times. The Reaper for the Drakari is gone, so R.I.P. the Reaper. That was a fun, silly little gunboat while it lasted. So do a few shout-outs, and then we shall move forward. So John D is here. I wonder if that's John Drakely. Hello, John Drakely. I hope it is you. I hope you're well. And thanks for congratulating us on Birmingham. It's amazing what our team can achieve when they don't take me. You can really, they can really finally fly free and soar. And didn't they smash it? What an amazing weekend!
Incredible work.
I didn't tell you so I listened to the event report, the team's event report, and I got stuck in traffic on the M25 until about 2 a.m. after setting off to go home at about 9, and that show basically kept me sane listening to you guys on my way back. It was epic, an epic tale. You all told it very well, and shout out to Jack Chapman for doing such a good job for us, and welcome to the team. That's actually something we can definitely announce is new team people, but also I'm going to say hello to Eldon Walden, going to say hello to Existence UK, great name. And of course, say hey to Jack Tite, who is, as ever, being great. So, yeah.
As ever being the nemesis of our
the
team.
nemesis.
An awful person.
Put another pin in the Jack Tite doll, Ed.
I'm looking forward to you beating me with some 10th edition TTS, my man.
Yeah, that's going to be good. That'll be a very, very good practice part to get, actually, for early 10th.
Someone needs to beat Jack at one of my events as well. I'm going to run out of prizes to give him. I can't give him anything else now. He's won everything, so... He's going to go to win an event and not get a prize, which would be very disappointing.
Great.
There's a yellow falchion that might be...
Yeah, that's it. That's
or he can have his 14th year subscribed to SM Battle Reports. So he'll be 60 by the time he can't subscribe.
He'll have watched all that content.
Anymore.
Yeah. He's never had to pay for it. Amazing. Okay, great. So we're going to briefly, I guess maybe Chris, do you want to take this in hand, seeing as you're the captain? We announced some transfers today. Do you want to oversee the announcement of the new signings?
Oh, it's a very exciting time for the team. We've been rummaging around the transfer market, sent out our scouts.
It's a hard market right now. Hard market right now. Mine Goblins are spending billions, and no one can keep up with.
It's a tough market out there. Not gonna lie. The big boys are lunging deep into their pockets, and such as small fry teams ourselves, we struggle with those to compete at the top end.
We refuse to take the Saudi dollar.
Yes, we ain't no petro team. No sir.
There is no Warhammer washing. Not a joke.
Yeah, so unfortunately we haven't quite had the big investments just yet to enable us to plunge our hands deep into our pockets, but we have made a few signings. We had a few people join kind of early on in the year, and we wanted to kind of make sure we managed to bond as a team, so we kind of didn't take on anyone else.
Had to integrate the weirdos we'd already taken on.
Yeah, exactly. It takes a while.
Liking Ed is never the point. Okay, that is not the point. Ed gets shit done, and he is wonderful.
Who said that? I'm not seeing it in the chat. Am I...
Oh, Lewis said it.
Oh, I just zoned out. I was like...
No. Lewis was like, I don't care for Ed.
That's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
My nemesis.
Also, I've just realised we've got two Eds on this call. We have Ed top left and Ed top right.
Yeah. Chris,
My plan to overthrow you isn't coming to fruition.
Yeah, sorry, Chris, you've been done there because we used this for the show yesterday, and it's obviously been renamed.
Oh, does it still say my name?
Yeah, it still says Edward.
I can't even see that.
I just want to point out the contrast. Lewis, who is my nemesis, it has a nice light background, and here I am, sat in the shade in my lair.
This is a rather average hotel in Wiltshire, would you believe?
Oh, nice.
Better lit than my room.
Yes. Well, I don't have a flag though, which you still 3 months later have not painted. So.
Green screen. The big green
We get the spray cans.
Enough of this banter. Announce the signings, Chris.
All right. Well, you know what? I have my assistant director write the announcement, so I'll just read that one. So we're delighted to announce that our June transfer window has been and gone, and the team's taken on 3 new additions going into
by the 6th of June.
10th edition. Yes,
Look, Warhammer transfers are weird. It's a long story. We'll do it another day.
we've got Alex Chancellor, and he comes to us after many years as a good friend, playing partner, and rules encyclopedia to members of our Bedfordshire chapter. And I can personally vouch for Alex because I took Thousand Sons to a tournament, having never played them before. Played him in my first game,
And he helped
and
you out.
basically forgot how to play all of Warhammer. And at that point, he clearly thought I had never played the game before, and spoke to me like I was some 15-year-old learning the game for the first time.
But isn't he great in those
He
situations?
held my hand beautifully as I lost. So I can assure everyone he's lovely like that. He's a wonderful guy and player, and we can't wait to unleash his Astra Militarum on everybody. He's also doing wonders for the average team age. Then we have got Rob Kimpton, who has wowed members of the Ploufs during matchups around the land these past few years as a great sport, all-round funny dude, and terrific Drukhari player. We wonder who that impressed. He also lives in Nottingham, so maybe now Ed will bother him instead of us. Maybe.
There's no escape.
No,
Obviously,
it's way too late for that.
Rob and I, and also one of our friends, Jack, had a team in, I guess, the equivalent, if we're doing signings, that was our under-18s team.
Yeah.
And as I remember, in the 2019 season, we were the top-rated team with only 9 scores because there were only 3 of us, and we literally had no one to get a 4th score. Score on there. And then I went off to join the Premiership with the Savvy Submariners and left him and Jack languishing like the traitor I am. But now he's back.
Yes.
He's back.
And finally, we have Jack Chapman, aka Gal Maris,
Hello,
who
Jack.
has followed the team for a long time as a show viewer and commentator, before stepping up in our time of need and not only filling in a crucial spot for Team Alpharis at the Birmingham Teams tournament, but using his pairings knowledge and Tau skills with a Z to help us reach the semi-finals against Team England. So for now our roster is closed, but if you want to speak to us and be like, I am a hero and a god, let me join.
That's it.
Then in the future, who knows? But,
Manifest the change you want to see. Probably don't lead with I'm a hero and a god. Just make it obvious through a series of small acts. Yeah.
Remember, we are just bang average. So.
We are bang average. So if you are a hero and a god, you probably should be trying to get in a different team anyway. But if you want to muddle along and have a right old time with us, do slide into our DMs like a reverse mind goblins.
Where's the horn? Where's the horn?
Round of applause.
I make that joke every week now, and it tickles me every time.
One of them will bite at some point.
Oh no, I love them. They're great. They're great fun. They know what they are. They're killers, one and all, and they have a great time with it. Shout out to Mind Goblins, who also did very well at Birmingham Teams, I believe.
We do have some local competition now.
Oh yeah.
Paul Bridge, if he's on the chat. Screw you, Paul.
Oh, not Paul Bridge.
He has set up his Cambridge team, Sons of War, which is one of the clubs in Cambridge. They now have a team, and obviously last week in Norwich they got first and third, only interrupted by the Ploufs.
Yeah, but double doesn't count. So.
Well, it's a start, isn't it?
It's the beginning of a bold new era.
Some new kids on the block in Cambridge.
Teams all over the shop, man.
Gotta call them out. What happened to that scrim that we were going to do, the inter-team scrim?
Cool.
Yeah,
that was promised. I mean,
he's still licking his wounds after the pull off, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a case of both sides of that didn't necessarily commit to any plans.
It's possible that we haven't been that together lately.
Funnier to blame him because he's not here to defend himself.
That's 1 for 10th, isn't it? 1 for 10th. Yes. We'll see you in 10th.
When we get our brand new actual league thing that we've discussed off the rail, which we've had in... When did we meet to talk about that?
That's been in development hell for about a year, Chris. But let's try again. Let's have another pint and chat about it again. I'm sure that'll help.
I'm all good for that.
I'm actually well up for that.
Ed can write the Wolfpack.
Yeah, perfect.
I think Suns are taking 2 teams to the Saffron Teams tournament in October. So
we need to buy those tickets. Actually,
we should definitely go to that.
6++.
That sounds great.
You've got a chance to go and.
Is it 4-man teams, Lewis?
5-man teams.
5. Oh, that's fun.
How many teams have you sold?
I have sold 4 out of 10 sets of teams so far. So
best get in on that.
Take Jamie East,
6++ teams.
Podium place almost assured at that point. Yeah,
almost.
It's genius.
Somehow
we'd find a way, wouldn't we? We would absolutely be clapping for the top 4 Oh dear, that'd be so funny.
There'd be maybe some rumours of collusion and unfair play at that point. So maybe we
Game
should.
was got to take 3 teams, so we could take.
I think we could take 3. That'd be fun. At least 2. 2 would be nice. Brilliant. Okay. Right. Going to very briefly rattle through an RTT report, and then we're going to get into the draft and talk about the league, because that's the really exciting stuff. And it seems like we've got a lot of people in the chat now, so we're good to go. So, RTT report, I just wanted to do a little shout out to Darkfire Cafe in St Albans. It's a relatively new gaming club. It's in a sort of estate area and on the outskirts of St Albans, and it's got a wonderful 2-floored gaming centre, cafe, seating, lovely, really lush tables and seating. They're putting a lot of effort into setting it up. Steve, who's been running it, is doing a fantastic job, and he's a lovely man. And the St Albans Wargamers have moved there. I think they used to be in like a scout hut or something, so they've really upgraded. They've gone big this time. And so I went for an RTT.
Sorry, Tom, can I jump in and just shout out Steve from St Albans Wargamers? He's been a massive help to me getting my
he's a wonderful
Saffrons off the ground. He's got his really great players code of conduct thing that he's done, which I use in my events. So, and he's always been really, really helpful. There's a TO's Discord that I'm part of, so he's really, really helpful on that. So yeah, shout out to Steve from St Albans. I've not been to one of his events, I don't think. So I do need to get to one of those. But yeah, sorry, 100%. Carry on.
No, exactly. I'm going to keep it relatively brief because I want to move on. But yeah, just to say, it was a wonderful event. I had 3 fantastic games, lovely opponents. I had my Gene Stealer Cults. I was testing my Rusted Claw. It's a Mike Porter list, let's not lie. Although I have run versions of this for a very long time. This is very much the Mike Porter take on it. I was trying that out ahead of teams this coming weekend. And I played into Rory, who was on Ravenwing. And Rory was a little bit green into Gene Stealer Cults, so I did him, because that's what happens if you don't know what Gene Stealer Cults are going to do. But we had a lovely game, and I took his back objective turn 1 with some pure strains, and it was great. I really enjoyed myself. It was a lot of fun.
So rude.
I know, it was so naughty. It was like, I'm going to do this. You've only got 1 dude on it. I reckon I can get 2 Gene Stealers on it. Oh yeah, there we go. But that was a really, really fun game, and he did kill the absolute living daylights out of me. I was basically tabled at the end. And then I played a certain James Marsden, who you will know is an excellent player. But he is very much taking this. He's not practicing for anything. He'd taken this event in the spirit of fun, and he'd brought his Leagues of Votan, because he hasn't really got to play Leagues of Votan. Now, James is a deadly Necron player. When he plays Necrons, he gets 100. You get a lot less than that, and that's what happens. But with Votan, I was a bit like, maybe I got a game there. I don't know. Like, he doesn't play Votan very much, and I'd never really lost to Votan before. But James Marsden, as it turns out, very good at Votan, and he smashed me. Going second on Tide of Conviction helped a lot, because that doubled up with the Votan secondary game, which is a bit peaky. But he still, again, he just killed the crap out of me. Positioned super well, made it really hard for me to do what I wanted to do. His list had a lot more of the infantry, the foot infantry in it, and I really liked that. I thought the balance of that was way better. Only had the 1 land fortress, a little bit more utility, but the stars of the show were some flipping berserks that got down one side, and then I undercommitted to get rid of them, and then they just murdered their way up the side for the rest of the game. I couldn't do anything about it. It was absolutely horrific. They are just so dangerous if they actually get into combat and start doing their thing. So that was a great game, and I got schooled by James, as I typically do when I play him. And then finally I played Mark Kirkham, who is a long-time local buddy and someone I've played a lot, and he was on his World Eaters. And essentially he had a very fun World Eaters list with Angron and a Lord of Skulls. That's too many points in big things, is what I would say.
You can never have too many points in big things.
It depends on your objective, I guess. And I think in this instance, he also had a bunch of Berserkers and Rhinos. And what I would say, Mark, I've played a lot over the years, and Mark has got better and better. And he played this game phenomenally well. He'd clearly really practiced on World Eaters. He knew it really well, positioned them really well, played the secondary game really well. And I reckon, to be honest, if he hadn't had 800 to 900 points in 2 places on the board, it would have been very, very peaky. But as it was, I was able to sort of get round the monsters, and the Patriarch did kill Angron in single combat. After a GSC army softened him up, as is the way I tend to do my duels. I never send a character in for a duel unless they've already been basically crocked, which is a bit cowardly. But
a plan turns in the making.
That's it. A plan turns in the making. But yeah, shout out to Mark. That was one of the best games we've had in a very long time. I thought you played it great. Okay. Brilliant. And yeah, so I'll be back. The St Albans are doing a Learn to Play 10th event. And I will certainly be going to that to learn to play
1st
10th.
of July, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
Steve
1st
was
of
saying?
July. I'm super excited. I'm very, very keen to get involved.
You better know how to play 10th before then, my friend.
I will have a
because,
go. I'll
you'll
do
have
what
had
I
a
can.
week- You'll have had a week into the league.
Yeah. Oh, I'll be ready to go. Very ready to go. But speaking of the league, I reckon the man to introduce this is Ed, because Ed's got the competitive chops for this. Ed, tell the people.
Which Ed?
Not our dear leader, Ed.
Laughing up, boys. Next
Yeah.
week.
Right now.
Tell the people what it is we are going to bring to them, Ed.
There's going to be a league. And it's going to be 3 groups of players. And you know why there's 3 groups of players? Because motherfuckers are difficult. And I say that with all the love in the world. So I'm going to start off with Group C. This is not rated in terms of how much I like them or, don't. But if there was a group that I liked the least, it was these motherfuckers, because none of them are going to play online. So we have got David, the Grey Knight himself. We've got Jamie C, Jamie Clifford. We've got Jamie E, whose name I've completely
Jamie
forgotten.
East.
East. There we go.
Yes.
Thank you very
The
much.
Iceman.
The Iceman himself.
Rob.
We've got Lewis.
Oh, yeah, sorry, that is Rob.
We've got Kieran and we've got Mark, and none of them are going to be playing on TTS, so they're all playing their own self-contained league. As it stands, I believe it's going to be a double round robin, where they are going to be playing each other twice, everyone in the bracket, and then there's going to be a final between the top 2 players, because what's a league without a final? But we'll see how that one goes. Then we have 2 other leagues. We have 2 other groups, I should say, and these are going to be meeting. So the first group, Group A, that is people who can all play on TTS, which makes things easy to schedule. That is Davey, myself, Franco, Jack, Lee, Rob, and Scrivo.
Very nice.
All of us are going to be playing online. I might play Rob in person, maybe. I might have some models done by then. Who knows? Depends how far through the league it is. So there might be some in-person games if that sort of ends up being the case. But, we can all play on TTS, nice and easy. That's going to be a single round robin, and that's going to last 6 weeks. We're all going to play each other once. And then Group B is a mix of TTS and local games, but you all live fairly close to each other, or are traveling. It's a travelable distance, so that one's quite nice and easy. And they're also going to be playing a single round robin as well. That is Aaron, Alex, Chris, Lee, Paul, Stuart, and Tom. Woo. There are 8 names in that group, I believe. Nope. Oh, so as you can tell, the numbers in each group has changed like 6 times, and I've lost track.
It's Nurgle's number, mate.
We're at a good number. We're at 7 in each group. It's good. It's fine. We're all sorted. Sweet. So what's going to happen is there are going to be these 2 groups of 7. They're going to play a round robin, and the top 4 players are going to go into a playoff bracket. It's a fairly standard split.
Yeah, baby.
Oh yes. There is a reward for doing well. The top player in each group will get to choose who they'd like to play between the 3rd and 4th seed in the opposing group.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
You get rewarded for being the best in your group. Number 2 gets to play against the other player, who is, 3rd or 4th in the other group. And then we're going to make sure that in the bracket we've got number 1 from Group A and number 1 from Group B at separate sides of the bracket. If the person who tops each bracket, each group, is the best player, they will not meet until the final. In reality, I'm sure we're just going to get some hodgepodge, but it's set up to be, I think, the most competitive I can get it without being incredibly.
It feels very
inconvenient for
fun.
everyone.
Yeah, and well designed too.
Thank you very much.
So that is the league structure, and the goal with this league is to learn as much as we can about the new 10th edition indexes as soon as they come out. We're going to hit the ground running, play a bunch of games, get our team playing each other, and really learn the hell out of the new edition. And what we want to make sure we do is report back to you guys every step of the way. So we'll be making some extremely silly content to cover results and games in the league. Don't want to give too much away on that yet, but me and Ed have a bunch of ideas, and it's going to be fun.
I will say that we may have been in talks with Chris Kamara.
Yeah, Chris
for those
Kamara.
who follow football,
Oh,
you might
God,
understand.
this is going to be awful.
He's got a lot more time on his hands now, and he messaged us and said Warhammer was probably the next logical step for him.
And he's
So
a big fan of Tyranids.
he loves Nids. Absolutely.
We should probably
loves
ask
news.
him before we.
Yeah, we should. He'll be keen. He's got no major life commitments coming up in his life. He's going to be just fine. So yeah, we'll be making that content. We'll probably try and make some bat reps out of it as well, and we'll keep you all updated on the socials as we learn what these different armies do now and how they fit together. And obviously, once we get to the playoffs and stuff, hopefully have some really fun showcasey games there as well. But the final twist, and the reason I can hear Chris tearing up paper in the background, is that we are drafting our armies across the two leagues who will be playing off against one another. What this means... Oh, Ed's got a thing. Do you want to say the thing?
3 leagues?
Across 2 leagues, Tom. I thought we were doing 3 leagues. Maybe
Well,
there's
Ed,
something I'm missing.
no good plan survives contact with Jamie East. And so there is a few names yet to come in on League 3. So we will find out what League 3 are doing, and once we've got the info,
Why
we'll
am I
get them sorted out. Lewis is here. Sure, Lewis is here. Lewis, I assume, has just put Falchion Tank and then crossed it out really sadly. But
I did. Imperial Fists went from top of the list to bottom of the list.
Oh man,
He's my nemesis, and I don't feel good about that. Come on,
But
man.
essentially, what we wanted
Like Double
to do.
Valiant went to the top of the list, so if I get knights, then I'm going to set some shit on fire.
Very nice.
What we wanted to do was avoid too much replication of armies in the league, because that gets very dull very quickly, and we want to show off more armies and show off more combination of games for all of you. So in order to shore that up, what we've done is across these leagues, within the sort of subdivisions, there's only going to be one of each index available. So in a minute, we're going to randomize the names, and we've already got all the players involved to put a list of their priorities for possible books they might play. And we're going to find out who gets what. I think we each had like 3 options. You had to put them in order of priority, and we will find out, exactly what armies different people will be playing. There should be some surprises in here, I reckon.
Just to very quickly add on to that one, we are going to allow players to change the list between weeks.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
But what we're going to do is we're going to not tell players the pairings until they've submitted their list.
Exactly.
There will be no tailoring.
Yeah, we don't want tailoring, especially at this stage. And I think, honestly, I do honestly think it looks like 10th is a rule set where building an actual range of tools into your list is already being encouraged, and hopefully not knowing exactly which of the threats out there you're going to face will help with that as well. So yeah, I think, Chris, how ready are you?
Oh, so ready.
So ready. Shall we start?
Well, shall I add the rules pack to the screen? If we share that,
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah, because then you can
we
fill it
could-
in. That's very
it
smart.
might make sense.
Here we are. Look at this rules pack.
Oh, little bit
It's
of
worth
document
worth
editing
giving
for
a little shout
stream.
out to Ed, by the way, because Ed has absolutely worked his arse off to make this a reality, and I appreciate it.
It wasn't asked of me. I'm just a fucking nerd. And when someone said tournament, I was like, I quite like doing spreadsheets. So I sent a screenshot into the group chat, being like, bored at work, with just like a theoretical matrix.
But this is why you're a great mate for me to have, because I love having ideas, and you love making
Doing
things happen.
Ed, you are queen of the nerds.
He is.
Excellent. I will wear that crown.
Also, Lee Churchwood has a very good point in the chat that any person who hasn't, from Group C, submitted the list of armies they want to use should be receiving a fine.
Oh, absolutely.
I
Yeah.
am
That can
100%
go
on board
straight
for.
into the Plus coffers, and then late list submissions on the day when your army's down, I'll just come and I will burn it.
May I make a suggestion? The fine,
Burn it in front of you.
the fine goes into the replace Lewis's resin coffer.
Oh, okay. Well,
If
we
you
can
could
think
stump
about
up
it.
about £300, that'd be very much appreciated.
Let's see if we can dress her up as a Baneblade first. All hope is not lost. Okay, so we're going to start with Group A. You can see on there we've got Davey, Edward, Franco, Jack, Lee, Rob, and Scrivo. We don't know exactly what they've picked, though we can probably guess. And it's going to be interesting to see what they get. So, Chris, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, so I've high quality bits of ripped up paper here.
Oh, the best.
which
The
I
best
can't-
money can buy.
Which are all face down, so I don't know who's getting what. And then I've got my list on my phone of what everyone's told me. And if I got it wrong when you told me because you changed your mind too many times, fuck you. So,
Excellent.
I love our captain. I love it.
Group A, and Ed can type it in because in theory it should.
I got it here.
Right. Okay. So
Perfect.
the first person, Group A, is Rob.
Rob
Dun-dun-dun.
Kipton.
He's the
This
No.
could be a problem for me.
This
Rob.
could be. What has he
This
put?
could be a problem for you, Ed, couldn't it? Rob has chosen as his first Drukari.
Hey, Drakari, good lad. Very nice.
So Rob will be on the Drukari.
Rob plays
What
the
were
shit
you
out of
hoping you
Drakari.
didn't say, Ed?
No, I think
Drakari.
well, Ed has had a bit of a change of heart in recent weeks from the elf hater he's always been. Something about those data sheets has turned him round.
Yeah, I thought your ears looked a funny shape, Ed.
I'm wearing this headset.
Okay, well that'll be awesome because that's a faction specialist trying out the Darkkin in the league. Although, yeah, Rob, fuck you for not taking Eldari off Ed when you had the chance, mate.
They had you sweating, and you actually did. I even asked you what you had, and I forgot the answer. So,
Wonderful. Okay, who's next?
The person is Scrivo.
Scrivo. What has Scrivo gone for?
Wow. Scrivo has only really got 3 armies. And
That's
it was
fine,
clear
yeah,
that he was
we
going
need
to
3.
choose one of 2 very popular ones for himself.
Yeah, I reckon
And
so.
his number 1 choice was Dark Angels.
Dark Angels. There you go.
I'll put that as
Oh,
Marines,
whew,
because I think we
Paul is
classed
in the
that
other
as
group.
Marines, didn't we? Because there's only going to be 1 Marine player, is that correct?
Dark Angels have their own index cards, so that's an interesting one. We'd have to think about that. Let's see if we get any other Marine takers in this set.
Okay.
I'm looking at it and I'm not convinced we will. So we'll see.
Right, are we ready for number 3?
Okay, number
Lee
3.
Jones.
Lee Jones. What's Lee
Yay.
Jones gone for?
Wow, this now causes some interesting ones. This
Oh,
is
no.
an interesting, controversial issue immediately. And we'll find out why later. Lee Jones has gone for demons as number 1.
Chaos Demons.
Franco is gonna be
Oh, true Demon
It
Lord
is
might have things to
something-
say about that.
We're going to have to talk about, because I have had a message from Lee in case something like this happens. So
Okay.
we'll discuss this.
I like how it's a draft with stakes, unless there's actual issues, in which case we all help each other out and resolve them because we're too nice.
Shh, don't tell people. Right, next one.
Demons.
Jack.
Oh, wonderful. Jack. Oh, what's Jack gone for? This is
Delmaris has
interesting.
gone for Tau.
Tau, yes, excellent. Building on his 9th experience. Very nice.
Now, then we have Ed.
Smelly
What
elves.
Ed's gone for?
Oh, well, that's
Oh!
Ed has gone for
Custodians.
Eldari.
Eldari.
Oh, you had me.
Ah, you've been coaxed into a snafu.
I was
Eldari.
trying to help our podcast listeners by making sure that we read out instead of just looking at the screen, and then you wrote the wrong thing down.
Yeah, Eldari. I don't know. Ed on Eldari is making me feel all sorts of things, but I'm just gonna let it happen.
He's
Bring the
in
lube.
there.
Maybe he'll come out of this with some newfound appreciation for my kind.
What was funny was you
Maybe he
messaged
won't.
me like, you're not doing this just to be a dick, are you? Genuinely sent me that message. Phrased slightly nicer.
Yeah, I
Hey,
did
boss
just
man.
wanted to check that it wasn't a sort of Ed trolls the league by taking Eldari as a
No,
joke,
no,
but it,
no,
it
no.
turns out his intentions are genuine, and that's all we need. So that's all good.
Next up, we have Franco.
Ta-da!
Now-
I wonder if he wants demons.
Let's just read the message I got from Franco.
Demons or bust.
Demons or fuck you!
It says, demons, enter, won't be playing anything else. Which creates a slight issue.
It does create a slight
So
issue.
I'm now just going to track
Shall we pencil him in for Death Guard?
Drop.
Yeah, he's just
The
got it.
first
So
victim has been claimed.
I will nod to Lee Jones here, who said, are we making battle reports for this league? Because if so, because he did potentially say Chaos Knights, my Knights might not be ideal due to painted status. I said, we've got demons as first choice, haven't you? And he said, but Franco will want demons.
Oh, he's sensitive.
And I didn't know what group Franco was going to be in. So he said, I think the idea is for greater coverage, though, of different armies, right?
Oh, good lad.
Oh,
So he said, if Franco gets demons, give me 1,000 Suns.
Oh, what a hero!
1,000 Suns. Interesting. In the age of no psychic phase, we go with the Thousand Suns.
Yeah, but they
Yeah.
look quite tasty, don't
Their
they?
rules actually look pretty.
To be
pretty
fair,
solid.
that is very lovely from
Tell that to the
Lee.
Lord of Change.
And actually, it will be really cool to see Thousand Suns out, and this is actually a really nice context to actually see what they can do. So I think this will be great.
And finally, we have Davey himself,
What on earth could Davey have done?
who in potentially the greatest plot twist you'll ever see on 6++,
Oh my lord.
is actually taking Tyranids.
Oh, he's taking Tyranids, excellent.
Yeah,
You
taking-
Okay.
genuinely had me there for a moment. I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is he?
well, I think the only thing he was thinking of pivoting onto would have been Eldari anyway, and there's a
he's
bit of that
taking
going
Tyranids,
around,
right?
so it'd have been on the Nids anyway.
Yeah, bastards.
Yeah, very nice.
Academic.
Well, that looks like a very fun set. So Tyranids, Eldari, Demons, Tau, Thousand Suns, Drakari, and Dark Angels. That's a proper spread. Lots of
that's
different things. Some Xenos, some Chaos, some Imperium. Only one Imperium, actually, to be fair. Quite Imperium light. I guess usual Imperium defender Edward has not stepped up.
I don't play a lot of Imperium.
No, to be fair, you play all sorts, don't you? That's
No,
unfair.
he's
You were just on
bad.
Custodies
He's just-
lately. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Before that,
filthy
it
meta
was
chaser.
going backwards. It was Tau, Nids, Orcs.
Yeah, actually, that was a proper Xenos run, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Great, well, that looks like a really strong set, and I look forward to seeing how that progresses. So, Group B. I don't think we had any plans to sensitively deal with scheduling clashes in this league, so we'll just
It's a fucking
just have to ride it out. Yep.
Okay, right, we're ready. Ooh, got the special paper. Here we are. Ready? First person is Paul.
Paul James!
Oh, I wonder what he wants.
And, well, I can't do the same thing again twice in a row.
Just
So
roll
Paul
fours.
has put down Dark Angels.
Dark Angels. Dark Angels turning up in both leagues. Look at that.
Shock, horror.
The lion looks pretty good.
Interestingly, Paul did put Custodies as his third choice.
He knows. He fucking knows.
So what was his second choice?
Drakari, because that's his only other army.
Oh, that would have been amazing. I'm kind of sad that hasn't happened, to be honest. I'd have loved to
Yeah.
see Paul play Drakari.
That's very
The
different to what
finesse
he's used
army.
to.
He plays fucking Dark Angels like a finesse army.
Yeah, to
So-
be fair, he does. He does.
That would be actually
master
kind of
at work.
terrifying.
Yeah, I think he'd be very good in it, but I've never
I
seen
think
him.
what would be good is if we could all get onto TTS, we could also, maybe next time we do a league, is randomly draw the groupings as well.
Yeah.
Because then you've got the real, oh, they've stolen my army kind of thing.
Yeah, we'll get ambitious. Elo was, I think that's right. I think Dark Angels will get a detachment, but share a lot of the main rules. I suspect they'll have their special units and stuff, which will need
Yeah.
somewhere to be.
They've shown,
Um,
don't they, a special.
Yeah, I've put it
Awesome.
down as Marines, and we may need to change that. But with the logic of when you go to teams, you can't have Iron Hands and Dark Angels. You have Marines.
Yeah. Again, looking at our lineup here, I think we'll be okay.
Right, ready, next person. Stuart.
Stuart McIntyre.
Now, Stuart did not get in contact with me. He's too busy answering my airbrush questions. But we do know that Stuart owns one army and one army only. So we provisionally put Stuart down as Death Guard.
Yeah, we'll put him down for Vision as Death Guard, and we'll go from there. But obviously, he is a Death Guard master. Fed into the warp. Nice.
Couldn't spell Immaterium, could you, Ed?
Yeah, he had a real go at Immaterium, and then abandoned it.
Oi! I have a disability. I'm dyslexic.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Then we
Oh,
forgive
let
you.
you
off.
We forgive you. We forgive you.
Right,
So next
person.
up,
It was a good effort.
Aaron.
Aaron. Oh, what's Aaron gone for?
But what has Aaron gone for? He has gone for Orcs.
Yeah, baby.
Orcs.
Good lad.
Orcs.
Aaron on Orcs is a terrifying thing, so that's good.
Haven't heard much chatter about Orcs at all. So it'd be interesting.
No,
I think it's because they do the same shit as they do currently.
still going to run at you.
They're still
Their
brutal, but
army
cunning.
rules the same, but a
it
bit
did
worse.
look like a lot more of the same, didn't it?
Yeah, there's not a lot to say other than they're going to run at you and they're going to crump you. So,
And they'll do it. Oh yeah.
yes, they will.
Maybe their indirect is good again, and we can just have.
It's not, we've seen it.
Oh, have we seen it?
It looked kind of
Thank
fine.
fuck.
Yeah, it didn't look great.
It didn't look fine. It looked dog shit. You're going to be hitting on sixes with no ways to buff it.
Well, we'll take that.
So,
Next person is Chris. Oh, it's me.
Oh, the captain!
Yeah,
Yay!
sure, it's you. Yeah.
And I have gone for. Oh, it's a tough choice, but I have gone for Eldari.
Eldari, there we go. There we go. What was your second choice, Chris?
My second choice was Custodes and then Admech.
Oh, Admech would have been so funny.
Wow, that's a very familiar trio. Mine was almost the same.
Yeah,
I
nice.
mean, those are my 3 men. And then I could have had Necrons. Necrons could be fun. Maybe I'll have to try out Necrons outside the league.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is the nice thing, right? We've got one format sort of locked in to practice one thing, and then we can try other stuff outside of it. I think it'd be really nice.
Right, next person is Tom.
Hello.
What did Tom want?
I am genuinely interested as
Oh,
to whether you're
wow.
going to go something new or stick with one of the old favourites.
Wow. Tom chose as his third pick Gene Steelercon. As his second pick Eldari, which means his first pick was Drukari.
Yeah.
Oh, good man.
That's what we want.
Mm.
That's what we want.
Shooting Drukari.
Yeah, I want to start there and see what they're doing. I love them, so it'll be good to do.
Okay, we ready? Next person. Lee Churchwood. Now, Lee is so confident of victory and is not interested in any sort of mind games that he very proudly announced, just on the whole group chat, Emperor's chosen. Children, sorry. Emperor's children.
Yeah, he did.
Just that. That's all he needs. Emperor's children. In some ways, he was clearly not expecting any of us to take it off him.
And he wasn't wrong, was he?
He was
No.
not wrong. So he can use his dread claws.
I tell you, I hope that Chaos Space Marines turn out to be absolutely brilliant because we really haven't seen that much of them, have we? We only really got a tiny flavour from their preview, and it would be very funny if it turned out they were awesome.
I was talking to my brother about this because he's thinking about playing CSM, and he goes, "So I don't think they've shown the detachment rule for them yet." I was like, "What are you talking about? Of course they have." Wait, no, they haven't.
Yeah.
There's no detachment rule. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know if they just forgot it or.
Well, I wonder if they have enough units left after the Forge World Carl to make it.
Ooh. Right. Now, in truly dramatic fashion, obviously we have Alex left. Alex Chancellor. New recruit Alex. But there is controversy because Alex, for his first choice, chose Orcs.
Oh, Aaron's cut him up.
And Aaron's already cut him up.
That's such an Aaron thing to do. He's such a dick.
Now, let's then go to our second choice. And we're going to have a discussion on this live on air.
Mhm.
Because his second choice is Space Marines.
Oh.
Of the Death Watch variety.
Oh.
Okay.
I am in favour of this because there's actually we've literally got Dark Angels as the only even Imperium representatives in here at the moment. So I think another Imperium faction would be nice.
What was
right?
his third
Would
choice?
you like to hear his third choice, or does it
Yes.
matter?
Yeah.
His third choice is Guard.
God. Okay. I don't see any reason not to let him have a run on Death Watch, right? I think Death Watch would be cool.
My
I'm sure
stance here is if it was any other flavour of Marines, it'd be like, but how different is it?
Yeah.
That's what just so
That's
different.
it. It's completely
Yeah.
different. I think that'd
Yeah,
be
I
fun.
think so.
I say get him in. I think that's fun.
But
And he'll just
he's-
have to leave the army with the masses of artillery at home.
He can only use models.
Yeah,
that
Tom,
are
you've
in
got a
kill
race.
teams.
You've got a horse in this race.
Fun fact, Alex actually chose Imperial Knights as his first, and then realised that he didn't have enough models to make a 2,000 point list.
Oh,
New team member,
You need
everybody.
4.
He said,
Oh,
just a
amazing.
thought, I got this message today. Unless Questora's Knights are 500 points plus and little ones are 150 points, they don't actually have enough Knights for 2k games. And I'd also need to paint an entire Knight. So
one model?
therefore, can we rearrange the order so Knights went out of the option?
It's alright, I'm flying the flag, don't worry.
So there we are. We have Orcs, Deathwatch, Eldari, Chaos Space Marines, Dark Angels, Death Guard, and Drukari. That's another really cool spread. And again, bit of Chaos, bit of Xenos, bit of Imperium, a few different ones in there as well. So I think across that we're covering a lot of our bases, and we will work hard to make sure that any armies of ours that haven't popped up in there get a run out in a bat rep at some point in the near future as well. So we'll
We'll
be
be
trying a
doing
bunch of stuff
videos,
out.
won't we? So,
That's
for
it.
example, as we said before, we're going to do a video for each faction. We're actually going to do 2 videos for each faction.
Oh yeah, we're going in
we're
depth.
doing-
In depth on the index.
Yeah, we're going to do one about kind of like the all the army rules and the enhancements and stuff, and then another one on the key data sheets. And because we'll be doing that, that means we'll be obviously. So, for example, AdMech I'll be doing, and so I'll be making sure I understand all of those rules, and then I can actually run them just in a one.
That's it, exactly. Yeah. Whilst we're prepping those, we can start testing them into each other and make some bet reps. I think that'd be awesome. It'd be really exciting. Honestly, I'm super excited for it. I suspect Index Hammer will be a crazy time. But I'm just well up for it. Like, when do you get to have literally all the armies in the game getting new stuff at the same time? It's fun. It's very silly. It's going to be a blast.
Looking at Group C, how many people are you waiting on for lists, Chris?
Half.
Is it just Jamie?
No, so I have lists from Jamie Clifford, Lewis, and Mark.
This doesn't bode well for us being able to organise weekly games, does it?
It's all going to be fine.
You only have to do it in person every week.
It's all going to be okay.
We'll be.
Don't you worry,
That group
Lewis.
might drag a little bit long.
So Lewis, are you saying that next time you might be downloading TTS? Is that what you're...
I don't know what it is, and this is me just probably a personal barrier I've put up. I deliberately play 40k to get away from screens. After
No, I do completely get that. It's one of the reasons I find TTS a bit grating. Yeah.
But that's not from me having tried TTS and not liked it. So I'm not coming at it from a position of knowledge. So I appreciate that's my own failing. But fun in my mind. I just don't like the idea of it.
But also, it's your hobby. So if you don't like the idea of it, then you don't have to do it. I think that's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. With this, it's just a nice way of getting us all playing people we like and want to play against.
Most of us are all relatively close to Cambridge.
Yeah,
There's so much going on in Cambridge. There's 2 nights a week of gaming, so we should be able to find some time in Cambridge somewhere, or travelling a bit further, depending on how.
So that is the draw for the 6++ Index Wars. We are very excited to kick it off as soon as we get them rules in our hands and ready to go. And if there are things you would like to see from this in the way that we cover it, in the kinds of things we focus on, please do leave us a comment. Let us know what kinds of things you think would be fun for it. This is all going to be evolving as we get underway, but we're massively excited. And if it's a success, we'll obviously do it again in some form in the future as well. Excellent. Okay. Well, thanks, Chris, for all the organisation with the draw there. And we are now going to wind towards a close. So we're going to very briefly talk the Warlords Teams event that we're going up to in Element Games. And again, Captain, you can get your captain's hat on again and tell us, what are we taking? Why are we taking it? How do you expect us to do? Go!
We are... Right, so this, for the first time, is an 8-man team.
8-man teams.
That's what the big boys do.
That is nutty. Yeah, that's crazy.
The international boys, that's what they do. And this is being run by, the tournament's called Allies of Convenience, I think. So they're a group, they're then running it at Element Games. Obviously, they're a bit annoyed at the timing of the situation because they have managed to run this tournament literally just before 10th drops.
Yeah, so in what we call the dregs.
What they were hoping was to be a kind of a United Kingdom WTC warm-up event type thing, has kind of fallen slightly short of that. But we're still going to have a great time. And there
absolutely.
are still some WTC teams going. So there's Wales and Ireland, I think, as well. So all around, we're all very excited, and we're going to have a good time. So, 8-man teams is an interesting one. We've only done 4 and 5 before. I think it's going to make pairing things kind of I don't know, like it's very much you can go really, really in depth with it. We still haven't actually done our matrices for the other two.
Jack Chapman, if you're in the chat, help us, mate.
Yeah.
Whatever you did last time worked. I know you're not going, but if you want to just whisper some advice, that'd be really appreciated.
Basically, the one thing I've taken away is that you look and find the horrible army in the one where you've got a bad matchup kind of across the board, and you want to try and get that out as quickly as possible. So all we're going to do is kind of like work out who's got an okay kind of each matchup in there and try and take them out. And then everything else just runs free naturally and we win. Easy.
Brilliant.
So that'll be an interesting one, trying to take on 8-man pairing teams. I imagine most of the team will just be like, who am I playing? Oh, for fuck's sake! And I know how those pairing processes go.
Yeah, it'll be a learning curve for us, won't it? Just as we're starting to get our head around the 5-man pairings, I think this will be another layer. But it's really awesome to get to be seeing how the international teams play it. You know how it's
Yeah,
done.
I know. I'm really looking forward to it. So who are we taking? Well, we actually had to have quite a few discussions on this because a lot of us got different armies. Some of us want to play the same army, etc., etc. So who have we got? Well, we've got me, little old me, and I'm going to carry on playing my Yanari.
We're doomed.
Yeah, you are.
I am going to be playing Yanari. They kind of they score reasonably well. They won't get big wins. Well, they can get big wins. They can get big losses, as we found
Absolutely
out last time.
can.
But they pose problems for opposition, and Incarn can be an absolute headache. And I think they're in they're not the most optimum way of playing Eldar at the moment, but they're still, and those boards, as we've discussed, they're the Glasshammer Gaming terrain set, which is very much can lean towards those fast-moving combat armies.
Yeah, definitely.
And I've got an element of everything in it. So we'll that's moi, and then we've got Mr. Tom.
Hello.
And he is on Gene Stealer Cult because
I am on
want to
Gene
take
Stealer
Eldar.
I'd never even asked. I knew you wanted
we-
to play your Eldar. I was
initially,
quite
yeah.
happy for you to have it.
Initially, we actually said about Tom playing Drakari because of the style of the boards, but then
Yeah.
Tom and we were worried about the shooting element of things. But then Tom had some practice games on TTS, didn't you, with the GSC?
Yeah, I tried them both out, and I felt like GSC would be just fine. And also, I've played GSC a lot for like a year, so I know how to do it. And I think I wanted to be on something. I'd also done the Matrix for both of them, and I was like, I love Drakari, but there are some games where they just get their heads kicked in. And GSC, those are rarer.
And you're a
It
solid
does.
defender choice as
That's
well.
it. They're great for defending, and that's what I like. So.
So then we've got Lee Jones, and he is on Disciples of Bellicor.
He is. I'm excited for this,
very
actually.
exciting.
Lee Jones getting a weekend away. It's going to be really
Lee
fun.
Jones is spending the weekend, the first ever night away from his baby.
Yeah.
So we'll have to hold his
He's gonna
hand.
get wasted.
We'll cuddle him. We'll look after him.
So yeah, that'll be that's very exciting. Always fun to play with Lee.
And it's a very innovative Bellicor list where he's got some war dogs. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do
no
that.
one I know. Has
Certainly
run that sort of list.
no players that
So
frequent
well
this
done,
chat
Lee,
anyway.
for taking that board. And speaking of Jack Tight, he is playing for us.
Yeah, he is.
He's
didn't say that
slowly
in the
making
June
that move away
transfer
from.
Oh, that's because he's on loan. He's going back to
No,
War
he's
Masters.
on loan.
Yeah, he's on loan.
Slowly making his way. We'll get him eventually. He'll come to a great good one day. But no, and Jack's got lots of options, and Jack is going to actually take World Eaters because Jack likes painting armies in a week. So he has been working very hard on working those World Eaters out. So he's going to bring World Eaters, which obviously just score so well. That they're a very good defender choice.
So that's a couple of
He is
lists
gonna
there
be
that we've got
terrifying
that are
for
just
most.
going to put up numbers in a lot of situations, and that's really nice to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we have obviously the great Jamie East.
Jamie East.
On his Death Guard. Now these boards are made for Jamie East because
They are.
Jamie East is very much of the mindset of I want to move my army into the middle of the board and then we're going to see what happens. These boards actually probably lend themselves because you can hide.
They do.
They're not going to get shot and then boom, they're onto you. But he has actually got a bit of a shooting list as well. So always good to have Jamie on board. Unfortunately, we don't have Mark Milton too, so they can't spend the entire night just. You're fat.
Is it too late? Is it too late for me to drop? Because that was the only reason I was
That's the only
coming. I
reason
thought
it's,
we were going to get the Jamie and Mark show on the Saturday night. That's what it's all about. That's why I do these things.
Not. But backing him up will be the veteran of the team, Dave Murdoch.
Oh, I love
Grey Knight
Dave.
himself with his
Yep.
Grey Knights. Dave is actually really good in team tournaments because we've had so many events where Dave has gone into like nasty matchups and just scored high.
Yeah.
The
He plays the
classic-
shit out of that army.
Yeah, the classic was last year. We had the game where we had Tau into Grey Knights, both our Tau, etc. And our Tau managed to 20-0 their Grey Knights, but our Grey Knights managed to get almost a draw into their Tau.
Yeah, that's super
So
good.
Dave's really great in the team format for that. And so we'll probably just show him under the bus a load. And so for it, Dave, if he ever lets us down.
I've not done a 6++ teams yet, but in my previous incarnation with 40k gaming, I was always under the bus with the knights.
Yeah.
Can you ever be under the bus with knights?
They don't fit under buses.
Well,
Lewis.
it was in the realms of when Harlequins were really insane and Tower were really good.
There's the
Yeah,
Harlequin
yeah.
Custody Towel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably the most toxic teams meta I've ever been in, because
Awful.
there were just enough broken armies for there to always be
Great.
one person
In a
or two
5-man tent.
people that were always getting wrecked every round, and 3 people who were having a great time, which wasn't fun.
So I went 5-0, so I had a great.
Oh, good for you, Chris. Honestly, I'm extremely impressed.
And so next up we have got Mr. Paul James. No surprises, he is playing his Dark Angels. Mr. 4 himself.
Oh, yes.
So we know how that matrix goes, but
The stalwart.
he delivers.
It gets it
And
done, doesn't
that's
it?
what-
10, 10,
Gets it
10,
done.
10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10.
So no, Paul will be an asset, and he'll play into anyone and have a great game. And these boards especially, he's got his indirect, he's got the punch, he's got the fast moving shooting
That's it.
from the talent.
Dark
market.
Angels will suit the board, I think.
They'll play the board really nicely, I think. So Paul will be looking to get good wins from Paul. And then last but not least, we have Debutant, Mr. Alex Chancellor,
Yeah, baby.
with his guard.
Bold call from the manager to throw him in from the start.
Yeah, well, when you just see natural talent like that, you can't not do that, can you?
Natural talent.
So we're excited for Alex to join us.
What did we put him on in the end?
Guard.
Guard, okay. Yeah, I mean, that's a good
On glass
asset.
hammer terrain. Oh, that poor guy.
Well, he put himself on guard. Okay.
I played
Guard
shooting
put
armies
him
on
on
glass hammer terrain, and I was like, this is a thing.
It feels like it would just, if I was going to go, I'd probably take Tyranids and just take Gaunts. And just go, I can hide enough of these that you can't get through them, and
Well,
you
just
can't take any
hate
objectives.
yourself for,
Yeah.
all right, Manny Chima.
Yeah, what cost, Lewis? At what
Yeah.
cost?
Well, in addition, I would take 150 Gaunts and I would take the Biotitan.
Of course, because that moves nicely around the glass hammer terrain. So,
And,
Well, in current edition, it has fly, so it can just land on stuff. In the new edition, it doesn't have fly, so it's going back to being stuck in between buildings.
And that really sort of goes with the list design you've gone for, which is hide every model. Oh, there's a Titan.
that's the thing I'm doing.
But it'll
Yeah.
be -1 to hit, and it'll have a 5+ feel no pain. So good luck killing it.
Yeah, no.
Don't say anything about Feel No Pains. You'll summon the Death Guard Reddit.
You can hear them shuffling slowly, very, very slowly towards.
Oh, the psychophage!
I believe they got a
Glory to
4-inch
that
move.
Oh,
Would they
man.
get even slower?
Shame.
Yeah, poor things.
Well. Yeah,
Now
that's
you
our,
just have to
that's
stay
all
16
we're
inches away from them.
Yeah, I think that's a really solid lineup, and it's also going to be a really fun lineup as well. We've got a bunch of good players in there, and I think we've got a good bunch of options. So really excited to see how we do. We're going to beat an international team. That's what we need to do. Go on.
Yeah, but it's going to be Wales.
Oh,
I've played a Wales team, so I feel confident saying
really? Christ,
I was
don't
playing
start
with Team
beef
England,
with the
so-
Welsh team before we've
I'm
even
not
got
Welsh,
there. Oh, okay,
so,
then you're right.
You know,
You're okay.
like out of all of the nations I was going to pick, I was like, I'm not picking Scotland because not only are they actually really good, I'm not Scottish. I'm not picking Ireland because they just sound as fuck. And I did pick Wales because that's I've
Yeah, we've
got
played
enough
the
links
Scottish
there to
team before.
go with it.
That did not end well for us.
So the teams are going are, and I can get this up on Tawny Keeper, which is an utterly shit app.
They're running in a Tawny Keeper, are they?
They
I couldn't
they
even
always
log
do
into
up
the
there.
app.
I don't know
Oh,
why.
it's appalling.
Tawny Keeper feels quite good for teams if it works.
Okay, well, yeah, if. So we've got us. We've got Leeds, Salt Miners A. We've got some names I recognise. They've got Stephanie Berry.
Is Jake on there?
Jake Wilstrop.
Yeah, my boy.
Yes, he is.
Jake's fantastic.
Is he a good player?
Oh yeah, he's fucking men. He's
Oh,
really
damn.
good.
Okay.
He came like second at the 3-day Coventry.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, he's really fucking good.
Okay, cool. Well, that's be fun. Then we've got Leeds Salt Miners B. Then we've got Leeds Salt Miners C.
Oh wow.
Sing a theme.
Then we've got Team Highland, Team Stonehammer, Welshies Team 1, Welshies Team 2, and Yorkshire Coast Raiders.
Good
So,
mix.
There we
Lots of
go.
Northerners.
Yeah, funny. Yeah, we are definitely the only Southerners heading over
Filthy
to.
Southerners
So,
turning up.
yeah, representing.
Well, best of luck, gents. I think you're going to have have an amazing time.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a proper test, and I'm well up for it. It'll be great.
And I mean, it's my final tournament of ninth, so I'm just looking forward to finishing off in
Yeah.
style.
I'd be impressed if there were any after that. Like, there's only going to be.
It must be the
weeks.
last, like one of the last ones out the
Yeah.
gate. Yeah.
Unless there's like early July or very late June events that are still running Knights rules because they've.
I am
enough time.
hearing, and I could be wrong, the Bristol GT on the
Yeah, it was like
weekend
third,
of the
it's changing.
24th
It's
is
changing.
probably going to.
Yeah.
Is it the 3rd? Okay, I was going to say, I've heard that it might be played on 10th.
No,
No,
it's-
yeah, he's saying
that
you-
that is on the 24th, and I believe they are going to
Yeah.
give it a go. Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe they are going to
You
give it
made
a
a
go.
post about it. Yeah.
So expect that to be won by a content creator
Yeah.
or someone in the content world.
Well, it's going to be won by someone who has all the information, but that's not because they have the information. It's because they're just the people who win the events anyway.
And those
So-
they always do have all the
They all have the
information. Yeah.
information as well. Yeah.
Go
I
on,
think,
Vic AJ, start us off with a star. Get in there and just win one straight away.
Marines or Eldar? Let's call it now.
One of the two. Jack on the chat has very kindly reminded me of one of my darkest moments at the team's event in that very nasty Harlequins meta where I, for the second time, lost all of my lights, my entire army in the first turn.
Yeah.
Against
Yeah, they did that.
Harlequins.
The Void Weavers did that. They did that very
no.
reliably.
I did have both Valiants explode and do a combination of about 24 mortal wounds to the armigers around them, but so that helped.
Oh.
But yeah, other than that, they did basically destroy everything. Everything was gone turn one. So I got 5 points on Yield No Ground, and that was it. Woohoo!
Hero.
There's some
dear.
Sisters of Battle fans kicking off in the chat. Some people starting Sisters for 10th. That's exciting.
Paint
Very
Thirsty
nice.
always played. Systems.
Yeah. And Paint Celestine's also just picked up a very beautiful Drakari army. So we have a little section in the Discord now called Comora Plus Plus. So all Drakari fans get in there, and we're just going to natter about Drakari for the whole of the Index era. It's going to be great.
I am
Hopefully it won't.
working on
Hopefully it won't
a,
be screaming.
Or hopefully it will.
Lots of people getting strung up, but no.
Yeah, love a bit
I'm
of
working on
flaying.
a Exorcist at the moment for.
Oh really?
mission.
Yeah, very
which
cool. It's
is-
such a beautiful vehicle.
I've always like looked at it and gone, oh yeah, it's an organ on the back of a tank. It actually is. It's got keys. It's got everything.
It's a work of
there
art.
is
It's a
woman
work of art.
in the back of it playing an organ. She's got foot pedals and keys. I was like, this is insane.
Yeah, completely. I mean, the Sisters range is absolutely stunning. They're beautiful.
Stunning set of models, yeah.
Cool. Okay. I think that takes us towards the wind down. So let's just have a look and see if there's a couple of listener questions we can field. Obviously,
Quite a
people in
few
the chat,
Discord.
feel free to throw some questions in. As ever, if you want to slip Chris a $5 via a super chat so he can buy himself a nice Eldar or whatever it is he wants, a Tyranid
An
perhaps.
Eldar.
A
Let me
nice
buy
Eldar, or
one Eldar.
he can get himself a single. Well, actually, he won't know what it is. He'll buy something on eBay that's bug shaped, and then he'll get the chat to tell him what it is.
Yeah, guys, let's think of this.
Just contribute to the Lewis Wants an Astraeus fund.
Right then. So, where? Oh yeah, they start after I start nattering from the last time. So, Ultimate Funk asks, how do you guys feel about meme lists at tournaments? I'm thinking about the guy who ran 12 assassins and 3 fortifications at LVO a couple of years back, for example. Bit of fun or a waste of everyone's time?
I think we might have discussed this one two weeks ago.
Oh,
But
did you?
great. Have a great time.
Yeah, do what you like, right? Absolutely.
You're going to play minimum 5 games. Like, fuck it. I don't mind having one game where I just have fun with someone. It's not a waste of my time. I get a free round, cool. I have a good time with my opponent, cool. And yeah, it's what
And
it is.
some meme lists are deceptively dangerous, right? You know, there's pilots out there behind.
that one.
Not that one, no. But there's pilots out there, and you get lulled into a false sense of security.
Oh,
and you
those
get
are the
caught
worst.
out. Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
when you're doing really well, if you're ever like 3-0 going into day 2 or 4-0, and you look at the list, you're like, this seems shit. That's when you lose. 'Cause
Yeah,
you just don't understand
100%.
something.
Understand what they're doing, yeah.
So they're good fun. Treat them with respect, and yeah, I really enjoy it. I think it's nice to take something silly now and again. I always enjoy doing it. Great.
Couldn't
and so
agree more.
Gail Morris, who is obviously our very own Jack Chapman, how do you guys feel about Titans and aircraft being able to see through obscuring? Maybe if we start with you, Lewis.
Valiant. It's the happy Valiant dance. Or you can no longer hide from me. I'm sick of riptides and crisis suits and land raid. Anything with stupid las cannons, hiding behind a building, shooting my knights. And to not think that the knight would go, oh, I wonder what all those lasers are coming from. Best not shoot over there. Now I
Yeah.
can see you. So good fucking luck. That's what I'm going to say. Fill that building
Here's
with
why
fire.
your opinion is wrong. This is fucking terrifying. Because not even from the angle of like I'm going to shoot back, but if you go first against the knights, if you go second against the knights army, you just can't hide. Like we've got used to 9th edition, you hide your army turn 1, and then the game really starts on turn 2, and it's likely to stay that way. We'll see how the terrain continues. That is not going to be your game into knights. If you go for second, they're going to shoot a lot of really souped up guns. We have seen a lot of the guns. Those guns will pick up an upsetting amount of your models before you get to do anything. And that is going to feel really bad. Unless you're the Knights player, in which case you're like, haha, this is what I had to deal with for 2 editions. So I'm not in favour of it. But I also don't think it's going to be a problem from the way that the game looks like at the moment. But when it does become a problem in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, it'll happen at some point inevitably. There's going to be a lot of people who are quite salty that their entire army gets, half their army gets picked up turn 1 before they even get to roll a dice.
I think if Games Workshop are looking at that as a mechanic they're going to keep, which fundamentally I quite like the mechanic. I think it kind of makes sense, really. But you've got to point those knights appropriately. You need to make sure there's a premium on those bigger knights. To take into account the fact that they can now do that, and they can now overwatch in your movement phase and things like that. They've got a lot stronger in the game. So if my Valiants are still 650 points, then I'm laughing. Because
Presumably,
I'm
like true line of sight still helps things.
Yeah,
hide,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So it's not like you're completely screwed. It's just
I'm assuming
But
that we're still
UKTC
keeping
boards.
I'm assuming UKTC must be reinventing massively for this because I can't see how it's going to function in the same way.
I'm assuming that everyone's just going to play on the the Games Workshop Perspex boards.
Well, even the ones they've
out.
previewed, the GW ones they previewed at those American events, they don't look like they've changed it, right? The layouts are slightly. I'll send you some maps that they shared on the screen. They look very different, and I think it'll take a while for us to figure it out, but I don't think it's going to be the same types of boards as a result. But it is very scary. I don't like getting shot by knights. But I guess they don't like getting shot by me.
No, I like shooting them without
Them's
being
the
seen.
breaks. Yeah.
Had
Oh yeah,
fun doing that at
you're a
team.
massive fan of that now. You love shooting.
Well,
without being
this is
seen.
the worst time. I've always played big stompy things, and now I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just play the small, delicate models. Now I'm going to get shot
won't
back from.
hide, yeah.
Fuck that. Fuck that.
I think any mechanic actually where you can be when you can shoot something but can't get shot in return. I don't like that as a mechanic, so I can see why they've made this change. Because it removes the feels bad in that you can shoot someone and not get shot in return. However, you've kind of replaced that with you not being able to hide from certain types of armies. But what it might do, and which actually I quite like, is it might encourage more of the bigger knights to get seen. So those stupid 14 armature lists.
Oh, I want big knights on the table. I absolutely.
Yeah,
do. I think they're
there
awesome.
should be a reason to take them.
I always think
It's-
one or two should be staple.
We're verging into War of the Worlds now, and there's just going to be these huge walkers firing their death lasers. There is no escape. Humanity is doomed. Someone, please God, get a fucking common cold into one of those machines so they all die, because holy shit.
Yeah,
It's
very nice.
going to be a good few months to be a Valiant player, that's for sure. I think everyone's going to start buying them if they're anywhere near. They've got the same damage output they have now, with all the extra rules and the feel no pain and all that sort of stuff that Death Guard don't get. They're going to be insane.
6
The only
plus
thing-
6 plus does not endorse any massive purchases Lewis encourages you to make.
With,
No,
with
because
all
actually what they'll
the-
do is put them in Legends.
Yeah,
and
that's
they'll
it.
be used
That's
fucking
it.
things.
with,
Yeah.
with all love, Lewis, that is a very biased perspective of someone who plays and loves Valiant. No one's going to buy a Valiant. Like even if they're like okay, they'd have to be like really good for people to go, because you have that sort of like cognitive. But like, they weren't very good. It's only a single shot weapon. They have to be really good to tip over, which I think is a
Well,
great place for you, because I think they'll be like
Incidentally,
decent.
what they will struggle with is, I assume, there is not going to be a way to advance and shoot them. So the only way I ever made Valiants work is to have them as Raven with max advance strat, so they can go
that
14
thing.
or 16
Yeah,
inches
that
and
thing.
still shoot.
Yep.
If they can only move 8 inches, they're still going to be limited to their 18-inch range. So, though Valiants, you will be able to outrange and play more defensively against some of their guns are longer range, but the majority of them are short range guns.
It's a good job that we haven't seen all the rules, and we know that the entire edition is going to be, at launch, is going to be scrapping over the middle of the board. That would be a real problem if someone had some immovable models with short range and really punishing firepower.
Yeah, that Feel No Pain as well. Like, if you put a Feel No Pain, even if it's a 6+ one, even if you don't do your little honor thing and get it to a 5+, a Feel No Pain 6+ on a model that's got 30 wounds is effectively an extra 6
We've
wounds.
said Feel No Pain 3 times. They're definitely coming now.
I just want to put it out here so I can be really smug when it works. I want to see every knight player running a Vindica Assassin, because I want you to be assassinating their warlord. And I want you to be getting that 5-up Feel No Pain on turn 1 because your opponent has left the warlord in a shootable position.
There is me. I've always won a Calidus in my knights list.
They're in the chat. They're here.
Which she can deep strike like less than 9 inches away and make that charge. She ignores invulnerable saves, and she's AP3 currently in combat with damage 2 weapons. So she
but probably
fuck
won't
up a little
have precision. Oh no, might do because they're an assassin.
I would have thought they have assassin. They'll have whatever the sniper rule is, but
precision.
Combat, yeah.
I've said it 4 times.
Precision.
Sorry, what was that?
I try and zone out what you say, Ed, because most of
That is entirely fair.
Great. One brief one in the chat, which I think I'm probably all right to field. Where was it? It was, who is the best Phoenix Lord and why is it Drazar? I mean, Drazar is very cool. I do love Drazar. I think my actual favourite Phoenix Lord is actually Fuegan, just because of the whole end times sort of fall of civilization. He's only supposed to turn up for the final battle, right? So when we actually get his model, things are going to be getting pretty real in the 41st millennium, because when he comes to battle, that is the end for the Eldar. That is their dying day. So I enjoy that lore, but obviously Drazar is the best one because he's the only one that got cool.
I thought you'd have said Morgan Ra. That was my expectation.
Yeah, well,
You insisted on playing him.
I have had a love affair with Morgan Ra, obviously, recently. That's just because the model's nice. Morgan Ra's cool, but until he has the Shuriken keyword, I said it doesn't exist anymore, does it? That's gone. That's been.
It's nothing.
He won't. Maybe he'll have sustained hits.
Is it lethal hits they get?
They get one of them. I can't remember which ones Shuriken gets. I think a lot of those mid-range 5-6 damage 2 guns are getting sustained hits now. Like heavy bolters have it, venom cannons have it. So I suspect they've got that, but I haven't.
I know
seen
Dire Avengers have lethal hits.
That's fun.
And Overwatch on a 5+, which becomes a 4+ if he's touching an objective.
There's a
and
good.
if you put Azamin in, it becomes free.
Yes.
And then you spend 1 CP to move behind a ruin after you've shot in the movement phase. But what do I know?
You're certainly not thinking this through at all. So it's going to be fine. Right, next question we have is from Dusty Mind in brackets Pete. I love the name Dusty Mind. That's great. I often feel like I have a dusty mind. What's the most efficient way to learn the new edition's rules and avoid reinforcing incorrect interpretations? Should I be studying the rulebook, watching battle reports, listening to you knowledgeable 6++ guys? Well, Dusty Mine, you know which one of these, which one of those we're going to pick. Getting lots of wrecks in with your mates feels like a guaranteed way to miss some of the subtle changes. Anyone want to field this?
Well, while you were playing your friend, I was studying the blade. But yeah, no, I think playing your mates is fine. You've just got to have the base level of knowledge there first. Like what I am doing, and is it to hand? Oh, here it is. I've got my binder that I've printed out the rules, and I've gone through and I'm highlighting the bits that are different. Because the rules are very similar, but the bits that are different are the bits that you need to learn. That's the main thing. Find the bits are different, keep a note of those, and then just make sure you're not getting the reps in and doing that wrong.
Yeah,
I think from my
perspective,
from my perspective, have a read of the rules, do some practice games, and then crucially for me, reread the rules once you've got a few games under your belt.
Every time.
Because you will pick stuff up that you missed the first couple of games you played, and then that will help cancel out any negative interaction or incorrect interactions you've had in those first couple of practice games. And you go, oh, actually, that's not quite how movement works or whatever, and then you can reread and do it again, and then actually just rinse and repeat. Read, practice, read, practice, read, practice until you've got it in your head. For me,
completely.
it's just relentless beating into my own brain until it's there.
I know what I'm going to be doing is getting out the rules and just walking step by step through the combat phase, the charge and combat phase, just with models. It's such a different thing to try and read it and understand it compared to actually practicing it.
Yeah.
You just want to set up your models, set up there's just one unit of each, and then just read line by line and work out what you have to do and what you can therefore get away with not doing. You know, it's really easy to read, I must get in base-to-base contact. If I have to, cool, I'll just move everything into base-to-base. When actually you read around the rules and you'll see you don't need to be doing, there are ways around it. And I think
Completely.
it's going to be hard to manipulate the fight phase, but it's definitely going to be doable and take quite a lot of skill.
I don't know how they fix it, but fuck, I hope they fix the fight phase. Like, already, just looking at the Google Docs files, you're like, no, do I have to learn this bullshit? This is way more gamey than 9th edition.
I'm saying it just looks like hard work to learn, but if you want to play right at the top with your combat, then you're gonna kind of
Have to learn it. Although the
Absolutely.
joy of a new edition is everybody is in the same position.
Yeah, completely.
Everyone's learning, apart from Ed, who already knows the rules.
And you can get a few things wrong, and learning by iteration and by making mistakes is how we all learn anything. So don't worry too much about that either. All those things will work for you. Watch others play it, read the rule book. I think going back to your rules is massively important. This is just the same with like a codex or an index. Like the way to learn it is read it, build something, play it, go back, read it again, and see what you see the next time. And yeah, you can listen to us. We'll be figuring this out, and we're going to be throwing a ton of content out there as we figure it out. We haven't worked out how we're going to handle like the actual sort of learning to play minutiae stuff yet. But Chris, as always, produces very good content for this, and I'm sure we'll come up with a plan. And certainly for playing the individual armies, we're going to throw index reports at you and index in-depths at you like no one's business. Right, next question from the chat. It's a certain Dom Maidlow. Hello, lads. Tom, how good is Lilith? Emojis. Blender. Lilith does look extremely, extremely good. Lilith is going to be really, really fun. She gone blend. So can't wait to get her on the table. It's going to be a good time. And then back to Discord. Oh, this is quite a fun one, actually. What do you think defines a faction specialist? For example, would you consider someone switching to the Guard Codex when it came out and only playing that till now a faction specialist? Following on from that, for teams, what do you like better? Someone who plays loads and loads of factions, or someone who is a faction specialist? To be honest, this is an episode, but we can absolutely get some of the initial thoughts out on this, and then we can do a much more in-depth another time. Anyone want to take the first shot on this?
Sure. I think faction specialists have to have been playing for a long time.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
I'm talking maybe multiple editions. Like, you can name faction specialists. Skari is a Drakari faction specialist. You could argue Rob is. He's been playing them since 8th edition. You've got, Paul Martin is an Orc faction specialist. He was playing them through the good times and the bad. You've got Jay from Mohawk Minis. He's a Knight specialist.
Knights,
I know he's
yeah,
been messing
absolutely.
around with World Eaters, but I'm sure he'll be back to playing his Knights. He wants to win some more of those painting prizes. The faction specialists, there are very few of them who play at a top level because it is so much easier to play competitively swapping armies.
Yeah.
I think that you made an important point about good times and bad there. I think. Ed.
Yeah, I think that's
the
a big
faction
marker, isn't it?
Specialists
Yeah.
come in and they still perform well, even when the faction is bad.
Paul!
Even when everyone thinks they're rubbish, they still do well.
I can't believe I just neglected to mention Paul on our team, Mr.
And
Dark
me.
Angel himself.
Paul is a Dark Angel's
Hey.
lifer, right? Yeah, that's quite remarkable, really.
Yeah, you play Imperial Fist now, and you're my nemesis, so you don't
Yeah.
get a shout out.
I don't play
um,
Imperial Fist anymore because I've
good-
just lost 700
Good
points in my
times.
army.
I think good times and bad is very relevant, but I think that speaks to two things, which is that you can see that as they stick with their army through thick and thin. The other part of it is they understand their army so well that they can adapt it and find what it needs to deal with a given situation as well. And so both those things, right? A genuine in-depth faction specialist isn't looking at a new problem like, I can't deal with this, I'll go and get a different army. They're looking at like, I can and will find the tools to deal with this inside my sort of very in-depth knowledge of the army I play.
And also they have to put up decent results during the
Oh,
battle
yeah.
times.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
someone
yeah.
who plays the same army and does well when the army's good and then does poorly when the army's bad. Like, they're a fan of the faction and they can still be a decent player, but I wouldn't call them a faction specialist.
Sure.
And there's probably a distinction as well. I mean, I'm being facetious about myself, but if I call myself a Knight specialist, then that kind of isn't correct, because I didn't really change my list. It was always the variation of the two Valiants and the Armigers. Like I never really used the medium-sized knights. So if someone came up to me and asked me what sort of loads I should put on Crusaders and Paladins, I wouldn't be able to give a decent enough answer, I don't think. So
You're a Valiant specialist.
Elo Woozle here
Yeah.
has introduced the distinction between loyalists and specialists, and I think that's very valid. I actually think that they're not necessarily the same thing, because
No.
I think it's entirely possible for someone to become an absolute expert on a faction very quickly and play that very intensely over a short spell, and they would be specialised in that faction, especially if, and this is the crucial thing, they understand how it plays and works into, let's say, I don't know, every other army in the game, because that's the kind of a level of work that some players put in to their armies. That is specialism, right? And it's been acquired in a shorter space of time. It's not the same as loyalism, because that army might then be put back on the shelf for a long time. But that's not to disrespect the level of depth and work and knowledge that takes, because it absolutely does take a lot of work and effort, right? That knowledge is hard earned, and if you've got to earn it in a short space again, then you really have to put the groundwork in, don't you, to acquire that kind of knowledge. I think the question of what you'd prefer for teams is quite an interesting one, isn't it? Meta ebb and flow is so important and has such an impact. Maybe that's just the level we're at, but certainly, you know, our team's fortunes do ebb and flow as our armies do. But we still always like to take people who know their armies well, don't we, Chris? We've never really gambled on a faction, have we?
No, and you know, when it comes to the Matrix and you're trying to fill it out, and you've got someone who's not really kind of knows how to play their army, but doesn't know the matchups, that's actually quite a problem, compared to someone who's like, oh, I know, because I've played all these different armies and all these different armies 3-4 times. I know how this matchup goes, for better or for worse. And actually having that information is so valuable to the pairing process, which is obviously you nail the pairing process, and on paper you therefore win that game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's I would definitely want faction speed. I mean, hey, 8 faction specialists.
Yeah, that's the
all
dream,
different-
right? Imagine, that'd be awesome.
That's perfect answer.
I think in a realistic world, like a blend of both is good.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
100%.
Because otherwise, you've got a team where you've got 2 people who really fucking love playing orcs, and you're like, ooh, this is slightly awkward. How are we doing this? But if you've got, you know, a couple of people who are willing to just pick up a new army and play it, that helps fill the gaps.
Yeah.
Which is like, they're not going to play it to the same level as a faction specialist.
Yeah.
But you know,
Do they
they'll
need-
play. Yeah, exactly. As long as
Iron
you
hands are
understand-
good. You don't need an iron hand
And I
specialist.
think
do you?
I
You
do-
just
I
need
do-
someone that can-
Yeah, potentially. Although I think I've seen Iron Hands played plenty badly. People manage it. Like, it does happen. I think also the tension in there between what would you rather have, someone who plays loads and loads, or loads and loads of factions, or someone who's a faction specialist. I think at its heart, the very best players are doing the same thing. And again, I bring you back to that earlier point. Whether or not they're playing one army or they're playing all of them, they're doing the same thing, which is they are learning how everything interacts with everything. And that is what good players can do. And you can do that playing just the one army into 20 others, or you can do that playing 10 armies into all the others. It doesn't matter. They're different routes with different approaches, and I think we attach a kind of aesthetic to it. And I think the faction special, the reason I have a sort of romanticism for it, and I think a lot of people do, is that this, to a lot of us, is more than just the competitive game, right? It's collecting an army, it's painting an army, it's building an army. So there's that romanticism in the faction specialists. It's just like the one club football player. They're staying at their club the whole way through, thick and thin. There's a romanticism to it. We like this idea of a sort of loyalty and something beyond the game and the huge amounts of money we're all making, and all that.
You guys are getting paid?
If you find it,
Ah,
let me know.
fuck. So yeah, I think that's what the appeal of it is. But what I would definitely say going into 10th is I think the early months of a new meta are going to be heavily defined by people who know their armies really well, and also have big collections of their armies and are ready to jump into them and get what they need very quickly.
Yeah.
I just think it rewards specialism and people who have deep collections of armies, because you don't need to be like, oh fuck, I've got to buy this and this, paint it up. You can just get it straight out and try it. So, but it would be really interesting to see how that actually shapes out in practice. Great. I think that is us, boys. Did I miss anything in the chat? No, I think so.
There was Hey Celestine, who would win? Malin Sado, the protagonist from Bolt Gun, or the Doom guy?
I am not equipped to answer that.
Sorry, no.
It's not. I've not played either.
I think
in a room full of nerds, you would have thought one of us plays.
We've
video games.
we've really let the side down there.
That's all good.
Paint so scene. I'll do some research and I'll have an answer for you next time. And on
The
that
Doom
note,
guy just goes around listening to heavy metal, doesn't he? He's just going around screaming and shooting.
why
demons.
not? Yeah.
Let's go with him.
It doesn't look like a very me game, that game. I'm not really into the sort of fire lots of bullets for 2 hours kind of game. That's not really my jam.
Isn't the bolt gun guy just like an intercessor or something? So
I think he's just a rip-off of Doom.
he'll
Yeah,
just,
he is
Oh,
an,
it is-
he's an
it is
intercessor.
Doom.
He takes out like a Lord of Change whenever he wants. But
Doom
yeah,
with a Warhammer skin.
yeah. Great. Okay. Well, it was amazing how many of you were around, given that, Tent's not even here yet. We got nothing to do. So thanks so much for turning up. We had a lot of fun. 10th is coming. The Index Wars are coming. A whole bunch of new content is coming. We can't wait to get it to you all. And we will see you again soon to let you know how we got on at the 8-man teams event. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you later.